Hi, everybody. Here we are again. We are on book 8. Um, Odysseus just revealed himself and started to tell the tale of how he tried to get home. The story that made him cry was the story of the Trojan horse and the sack of Greece. So he starts out telling them about. So here I'm on page 137 of our PDF, the text that we're looking at. The very bottom talks about how, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, probably Sacones. They went to the stronghold, the city. This is where they sacked the city. Remember, Athena was mad at him. This is where they ruined her temple. This is where Athena got mad at him. It was right after the Trojan War ended and they were headed home. They plundered it for riches to take, back then warriors would make most of their money by taking stuff from the people that they conquered. And so they did that, and Athena was mad, so Zeus gave them bad weather. Lots of people were killed in their escape from that city, trying to get away in the bad weather. They were out there for 9 days. Now, they came to the land of the lotus eaters. This is a very short little piece of the story. Some of the men went on to land, and here were the land of the lotus eaters, and these natives would eat the lotus and forget everything, and they would just sit around the island eating the lotuses, forgetting everything, just being happy sitting around. And so Odysseus figured it out pretty quick, forced the people who ate, not everybody went on to land, just some, forced the dudes that went to eat the lotus, forced them back on the ship. He had to tie them to the ship to get them to leave. They wanted to stay in this wonderful, problem-free land. Who wouldn't? And so made them come back, tied them to the ship, and they left. Took them a while to have the effects of the lotus wear off. Now, the rest of this chapter is generally the one that is talked about the most when you talk about the Odyssey. It's the one with the Cyclops. So they're sailing along, and there's a map that shows the route he took. It's not straight route. I'll post that with this video. So the next place that their boat lands is where the Cyclops lives. 12 men get off the boat. Not everybody gets off the boat. 12 men get off the boat and see a giant cave. It's obviously a Cyclops' house. They go there, they see a lot of sheep, some rams, milking buckets, all this stuff in the cave. The men want to go and steal the stuff. They want to just, get some sheep, get some of the things that the Cyclops had, and keep moving. Odysseus, on the other hand, wants to do it right. He wants to announce himself to the Cyclops, and like I said in the previous books, Greek culture demands that you treat a guest very well. Normally the Cyclops would outfit the whole boat with food and everything they would need. And so Odysseus says, no, let's go and introduce ourselves and talk about it. So here, this is where he goes on land with 12 of his men. They see that there's big flocks of sheep and goats. Most of the crew waited for them on the boat. So what happens now is they go inside the cave. The Cyclops isn't there. This is where they find, I'm here on page 143, this is where they find all of these animals, all these lambs, pails and buckets for milking, a lot of cheese, obviously made from the milk of the sheep and the goats. Goat cheese was really popular back in Greece. So here on page 44, the Cyclops returns. Kind of comes in, flops down, like a lot of what people do on the couch. Problem is, he closes his door, and on the cave, closing the door means putting a huge rock in front of the door. Only the Cyclops can move the rock. It's so big. The humans, the Odysseus's crew, the 12 men, can't. They couldn't move the rock. So here, I'm on page 144, the Cyclops detects the strangers. He's kind of grouchy about it. Odysseus introduces them. He tries to say how great they are, that they were war heroes. And the Cyclops here on page 145, you have Cyclops says you must be a fool. There's no laws in the land of the Cyclops. They didn't care. Cyclopses were the sons of Poseidon, and they didn't follow anybody's rules. So even though Odysseus says, please, accept us as guests and treat us as Greeks would treat guests, the Cyclops says no, and he proceeds to eat two of the men. Snatching two at once, wrapping them on the ground, knocked them dead like pups. So he didn't eat them alive, which is gentlemanly. He ate two of the men like they were popcorn. So when dawn came, he ate two more men. He milked his flock, and he went out to take care of business on the island. But he put the big, huge rock in the doorway so that the men were stuck inside the cave again. So he's eaten 4 men out of 12. Do the math. My brain's not working. 8 men are left plus Odysseus. Okay. So what they did was, while they were in the cave and the Cyclops was gone, they took a club and they honed it down so that it was a spear, a pointed stick. When he came back, he was herding his sheep, went into the cavern, closed the door. He hoisted the huge slab to block the door. He squatted to milk his sheep. Oh, I'm so sorry. I forgot the part when the Cyclops asked for Odysseus's name. Odysseus said his name was Nobody. He did not identify himself as Odysseus. He said his name was Nobody. So now okay, so you asked me the name I'm known by. Sorry, it's right here. He boomed back at me from his ruthless heart. I will tell you, but you must give me a guess. You promised. Nobody, that is my name. Nobody. So my mother and father call me all my friends. And he boomed back, nobody, I'll eat nobody last of all his friends. So he said he was going to eat Odysseus last, but he thought his name was Nobody. So again, he eats 2 more men. Nobody, Odysseus, who is Nobody, gave him some very strong wine that he had brought with him from his ship. And he fed this to the Cyclops. Cyclops, made the Cyclops sick and drunk. They took the steak that they had made, they had laid it in a bed of embers to get it hot, and they poked out his eye. So now the Cyclops was blinded, but the rock was still in place, and he could still feel around. So here's where it gets pretty graphic. They really blind him. Bottom of page 149. The Cyclops, Polyphemus was his name. The Cyclops' name was Polyphemus, is blinded. Now, Cyclops has been blinded and he's drunk. So he's calling to his friends, help me, I'm being attacked. I'm being attacked. His friends say, who's attacking you? Polyphemus bellows back, nobody. Nobody is killing me. Nobody's killing me now by fraud and not by force. So the friends are like, if nobody's attacking you, you don't need help. Okay? So they have this argument over this, their friend's drunk to begin with. Nobody's attacking him. So that none of his friends come to save him. So he thinks, well, that's okay. I can still feel around for them and I can still eat them. So Cyclops went to sleep, and Odysseus took his men that were left, 6 men at this point, plus him, or maybe 4. No, 6, 3 by 3. He tied all of his men to the underside of the rams. The Cyclops takes the rams out to graze every day. So he ties each man underneath the ram because he knows they're going to go outside the next morning, and that by feeling around, the Cyclops, Polyphemus, will not be able to feel them. So here they are. They're clinging on to the bottom of the rams inside their fluffy fleece. Okay. So here, their master, now heaving in torment, felt the back of each animal halting before him. But the idiot never sensed my men were trussed up under their thick, fleecy ribs. And so he was making sure that everything that came out of the cave was a sheep, some sort of sheep, never thinking to check the bottom. And that way he thought at least he could keep the men locked up in the cave and he could eat them eventually when he found them. However, they got out, and of course, they let the ram go free outside. Once they got out, they loosened themselves from the rams. They quickly ran to their ship. Now, of course, Odysseus can't keep his mouth shut. He yells, "It wasn't nobody who got the best of you. It was me, Odysseus." Cyclops gets so angry. Cyclops' dad is Poseidon. So the Cyclops begs his dad to make their journey home as miserable as possible, which of course he does. And that means our time is up. If you've watched this video, you get 10 points. If you text me or email me the word nothing. See you next time.